Good afternoon, everybody. My name's John Parrott, and on behalf of the Zamudio family, I'd like to welcome and thank all of you for being here today. We're here to honor and celebrate the life of Michael Tucker Zamudio. But first, we're going to start with a tune. Come, lonely hunter, chieftain and king, I will fly like the falcon when I go. Bear me, my brother, under your wing, I will strike fell like lightning when I go.
I will bellow like the thunder drum, invoke the storm of war, twisting pillars, spine of dust and blood up from the prairie floor. I will sweep the foe before me like a gale out on the snow,
and the wind will long recount the story, reverence and glory when I go. Spring spirit dancer, nimble and thin, I will leap like coyote when I go. Tireless entrancer, lend me your skin, I will run like the gray wolf when I go. I will climb the rise of daybreak, I will kiss the sky at noon, raise my yearning voice at midnight to my mother in the moon. I will make the lay at longing feet and draw the chorus slow. I'll send a message down the wire and hope that someone wise is listening when I go. And when the sun comes trumpets from his red house in the east, he will find a standing stone along enchanted by release. He will send his morning messenger to strike the hammer blow, and I will crumble down uncountable in showers of brimstone leaves when I go. Mournful sister, whisper and turn, I will rattle like dry leaves when I go. Stand in the mist where my fire used to burn, I will camp on the night breeze when I go. And should you miss my wandering form along the borderline between death and resurrection and the council of the pines, do not worry for my comfort, do not sorrow for me so. All your diamond tears will rise up and adorn the sky beside me when I go. Now they adorn the sky beside you, now that you're gone. It's gonna miss you, Mike. Thanks, John. Mike was born January 12th, 1947, and he passed February 22nd, 2024, after a long battle with leukemia. Mike had just turned 77. He was raised in Vallejo, California by his mother, Viola Quinn, and later by his foster mother, Thelma Camden. He was raised in a foster home by a couple that he loved deeply and eventually called him Mom and Dad. Tragically, his foster dad died of a heart attack when Mike was just in the second grade. Mike graduated from Vallejo High School in 1964, and 2 years later, he joined the Air Force and served 4 years as a airborne navigation equipment repairman. In 1966, while still in the service, he married Jeannie Hurt, and they were married for 20 years and divorced in 1986. They had one son, Derek, who has sadly passed in 2019. Once out of the service, Mike worked in the shipyard installing electronics, primarily in atomic submarines, which I thought was pretty cool, actually. During that time, Mike also attended college part-time, and in 1975, he received a BS in biochemistry from UC Davis. He could, like, grow anything. It was amazing. And we would sit, and he would talk about all the chemicals and how they reacted with the plants and this and that. And it was pretty cool listening to him out in the greenhouse. If you know what I mean. From there, he worked for various computer companies testing electronic systems, but he got tired of that. And in 1987, he moved to Oregon. Good for us. Most, if not all, of Mike's career involved electronics and computers and computer programming and computer systems and on and on and on. He was an amazing man. He was quite intelligent and just amazing. Something else, he loved dogs, and he spent a lot of times training and showing them, especially his champion, American Staffordshire, say that 3 times fast, terrier named Arnie that he adopted in 1990. Training assistance dogs for individuals with head injuries is how Mike and Julie met. They were part of a group that trained the dogs. And at Christmas time one year, the group organizer decided that they wanted music at the Christmas party. And seeing as how Mike and Julie were the only 2 musicians in the crowd, they got recruited. Mike and Julie continued playing at various gigs, fell in love, and got married on a hot summer's day in 1997. It was so hot. They have 3 children, Sean, Renee, and Zeke, who joined them at the age of 17. In 2010, Zeke married Will Tull. They had 2 amazing children, Xander and Evie. And oh, okay, here we go. In 1998, Mike and Julie created a band called Rose and the Heather, a band I was part of for like 17 years, and I think pretty much the whole band's here today. It was a 6, sometimes 7-member Irish-American folk band, which Mike played his guitar, which is right here. And he also played piano. Before Rose and the Heather disbanded in 2016, we had played an abundance of gigs from Seattle to who knows where, a lot of gigs. We recorded 3 CDs, By Any Other Name, Mountain Road, and The Other Road. Mike especially enjoyed the PSU Robert Burns celebration every year. We played for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. Lots of pipes, lots of haggis, yum, lots of whiskey, and of course, lots of music. In 2017, Mike and Julie started a 4-piece group called Whitethorn Crossing. They recorded one CD called Across the Threshold. It was recorded at home. I remember over the past months going to visit and Mike sitting beside his bed doing all the engineering and everything. I mean, he was on it right up to the last week, I believe. Amazing. I can't wait to hear it. They recorded it at home, and it will soon be released. Mike was a heck of a host, and he loved to party. Right? Anybody that knew him knew Mike loved to party. In 1998, he hosted his first big party called Fiesta Zamudio. It was a yeehaw, heck yeah. It was a huge annual party held in the summertime at the Zamudio house. It was amazing potluck. It brought family, friends, and neighbors, actually. And the ones that didn't come put chairs out in their front yard and listened. It was great. All of the music was played on an 8x20 raised stage that Mike built. It was huge and beautiful, and played on it a few times, and it was really, really good. It would, with help, of course, from his family and friends and neighbors. Mike's final big gathering was in 2023, where he played his last concert with Whitethorn Crossing. If you were there, you know just how much strength and courage and just sheer willpower it took for Mike to walk up the stairs to the stage, sit down at his piano, and play for us. It was beautiful and amazing. Mike was a fun-loving, multi-talented man, and to list all of his talents would take the rest of the day. And his skills, abilities, so I'm just going to say a couple or three. He was a great host and musician. In his past, he was a bicyclist that rode from Seattle to Portland one time. He was a runner that ran on a Hood to Coast team 4 times. Things that I didn't know. I've learned a lot. He was a dog trainer, obviously. He was into electronics, and he was a computer kind of guy. He was actually pretty much a jack of all trades, okay? The man could build anything. And if you've ever been in the Zamudio backyard, you know that Mike was also a master of PVC pipe construction. True story. Beautiful greenhouses, with pulleys and opening roofs and the whole 10 yards. It was great. Once again, he was a really good gardener. Mike fought a long, painful battle with cancer, and all that time I never heard him snivel or complain. I never heard the want or need for pity in his voice. He always had a smile on his face, no matter how much it hurt. And boy, he walked the path with great courage and his head held high. I can say that. I was there. Mike passed peacefully at his home, surrounded by his loving family. He leaves behind his loving wife, Julie, who stood beside him. You talk about courage and stamina, and you're an amazing woman, Julie. Mike was lucky to have you there. He leaves behind his adult children, Sean, Renee, and Zeke, as well as his 2 grandchildren, Xander and Evie, all of which he loved very much. Okay. He had 3 half-brothers, James, Mike, and Richard, who he met in 2001, all that have passed since. He has a half-sister, Olivia, who lives in Arizona, and a wonderful niece, Anna. Mike never met his father, but when he did meet his siblings in 2001, he found out that his father had carried a picture of him as a baby in his wallet throughout his life. And he always encouraged his children to never give up looking for their baby brother. And they found him. Are you ready, Zeke?
No, but yes.
I could go on and on and on and on. And I'm hoping that when we all go downstairs and we're eating and drinking and playing music, that you'll tell the story. Ask me how I met Mike and Julie. I knew I'd get a giggle out of that. It's really a great story. But anyway, so Zeke, you have the floor.
Johnny, when you're up there, you might want to move the microphone and stuff, so when it's time for the slideshow,
Oh, yeah,
it'll be all visible.
I did want to speak a little bit about my dad, because as far as I'm concerned, he's the only dad I'll ever have. That's probably all right. As far as I'm concerned, he's the only dad I'll ever have. I had family before, in the loosest sense of the word, but when I came into the Zamudio household, it was immediately apparent that that's where I belonged. I met my mom one day when I was walking past the house, and she had a couple of dogs barking in the garage. And I'm one of those people, so I had to stop her and I said, "Excuse me, but I've got to know, is that a Portuguese water dog?" And Mom laughs in that way that she has, and she goes, "Oh no, it's just a poorly groomed poodle." And that was where it all started, really. We got to talking, and I got to babysitting, and I got to sit in and hear the band play, which was the most magical thing I'd heard up until that point in my life. And Dad never batted an eye. Random, unidentified gender child in the house? Cool, that's fine, let's feed him. Dad used to joke that, like a stray cat, he fed me once, and then I just wouldn't leave. Which was more or less the truth, but he never questioned it, and he never made me feel unwelcome. And quite the opposite, Dad always made sure that I did feel welcome, that there was enough food on my plate, and that I always had somebody in my corner. Dad was the first and only person I've ever known in my life to actually stand up to my biological mother, which was a feat in and of itself, and made me a little bit scared of him, but in the best possible way. And I really wish that I could just plug my brain into this screen back here to show you guys all the moments that Dad made me feel like I belonged and I was family, and that no matter what, he was always going to be there for me. And I mean, even now it kind of feels like I've got a hand on my heart telling me that he's here with me now, and he's here with all of us, because we all loved him. But my dad was a strong and amazing man, and he did things in ways that blew my mind, and he was never shy about telling me when something I did was not up to snuff. And it's hard to feel like that wasn't critical sometimes, but it was also that he was showing me the right way to move forward. Dad was really good about that. If there was a next step to take, he was not shy about telling you what it was and how to do it. I feel a lot more confident moving forward through life with what he has taught me. And there's one moment in particular that I'd like to share with y'all, because I feel like it was really indicative of my dad as a person. We were building a cover out of the PVC for the trailer. And it's kind of two moments all wrapped up into one. The first moment being just my dad. He's out there on his little wheelie chair with his oxygen tank and the hose going everywhere, and we're working on it. And I heard a helicopter passing overhead. Not unusual, nothing I think twice about. But there's Dad on his chair, scooting up to the front of the garage, because far be it from him to not go out and look. And he pushes himself up out of the chair and moves to the front and just stands there. And I wish I'd gotten a picture, because there he was, backlit in the front of the garage, oxygen hose trailing behind him, just to admire. And I felt so much love for him in that moment. And it was a really beautiful moment. And he sits back down and he comes back in and he says to me that he's feeling pretty tired and he thinks he's going to go inside. And I said, okay, I'll get everything cleaned up here, because we weren't quite done yet. And he shakes his head and he goes, no, you've got this. That was news to me. But it's little moments like that I knew undeniably Dad loved me, Dad trusted me, maybe without good reason. But I just wanted to share that with y'all. You guys know what a wonderful, loving, kind, and strong man he was. And I'm glad that we all know him together. Before I go here, though, I do want to let you guys know our wonderful Cindy has engraved us some shot glasses in honor of Dad. So make sure we find out, I think they're downstairs by the ofrenda, so make sure you get one. Yep, Mom's holding one up there. Some of them are engraved, some aren't. We were on a limited time frame. So if you get one that's not engraved, I've got a book here. We'll write your name down and your phone number, and we'll get it engraved for you. There is going to be a viewing of Dad after all of this. It's going to be closed casket for the first part. So if you want to come and have a moment with Dad, please do. If you would like to wait for the open casket, it'll be sometime shortly after there. We want to make sure that everybody can see as much or as little as they would like, and have as much or as little of a personal time with him as they would like. After that, we're going to go ahead and see him out. We're going to take our shot glasses and toast him on the way out, and I do hope y'all are all a part of it. Thank you.
Well done. Thanks, Steve. Dang, you should have done the eulogy. So now there's going to be a slideshow.
But the band's on the bus and they're waiting to go. We gotta drive all night into the show in Chicago or Detroit. I don't know. We do so many shows in a row, and these towns all look the same. We just pass the time in the hotel rooms and wander around backstage till those lights come up and we hear that crowd and we remember why we came. Now we got country and western on the bus, R&B. We got disco and 8 tracks and cassettes in stereo. And we got rural scenes and magazines, and we got truckers on CB, and we got Richard Pryor on the video. We got time to think of the ones we love while the miles roll away. The only time that seems too short is the time that we get to play. People, you've got the power over what we do. You can sit there and wait, or You're gonna wake up in your town, but we'll be scheduled to appear 1,000 miles away from here. People stay just a little bit longer. We wanna play just a little bit longer. Now the promoter don't mind, and the union don't mind, if we take a little time and we leave it all behind and sing one more song. Oh, won't you stay just a little bit longer? Please, 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 say you will, say you will. Oh, won't you stay just a little bit longer? Oh, please, please stay just a little bit more. Now the promoter don't mind, and the roadies don't mind, if we take a little time and we leave this all behind and sing one more song.
Got a pocket full right here. That was beautiful. Well done.
I couldn't have done it without Marty.
Hi, Marty. You wild man. Thank you so much. Wherever you are. There you are. Hey. Whew, that kind of took my breath away. Obviously, Mike was an amazing person, and he will be missed very, very much. He was like a big brother to me. He was certainly my brother. We spent many hours out in the trailer, just before practice, once a week for 16 years. We shared our thoughts and our fears and a few tears, and all over a shot or two, or 3 or 4, of some good Irish whiskey, a little of the plant that you saw growing there. And of course, it was always followed up by a lot of music. So I'm truly grateful for having known him, and this is my family too. So, and they are amazing, all of you. So once again, I'd like to thank all of you for being here. And so I'm thinking it's probably time to go downstairs, eh?
I was gonna see if people wanted to come up and talk.
Oh, that's right, I forgot about that. Hey, my brain cell only sparks once in a while and works, you know. Is there anybody that would like to come up and have something to say? Hi, you had your hand up first, but ladies first, so.
Yeah. We're going to probably say similar things.
All righty.
Back to the same part of Mike's life.
All right,
So I'm going to let Sam speak.
gotcha.
Cindy, provider of the shot glasses. Sponsor of the shot glasses.
Hopefully I don't blow the electronics out with my voice. So I've known Mike since the late 70s. he struck me as someone who was extremely gentle, and as well as the intelligent. And so most of my interaction was related to professional time. But we went to lunch a lot. We became friends. He essentially started my first career, my first phase of life, by trusting in me and seeing something in me which moved my career forward. And then around the late 80s, he pulled me up to Oregon, seeing yet another opportunity that made my second set of things go so well. And I got a chance to watch the kids grow up. Sean, I remember when Sean was born, Mike couldn't stop smiling, and Renee, he couldn't stop smiling at all. And all that time, he just was always giving the gift of himself. And then I feel fortunate I was giving him transport to the OHSU on some of the occasions. And we got to sit and talk about things we normally didn't talk about. Turned out we had a lot of similarities when we were growing up. We both had a love for off-road motorcycles. We had a lot of getting to know. So he gave me one final gift of letting me become closer. I will miss him. He's just he will always be with me, but I will always miss him. Thank you.
I'll just say a couple of words. I met Mike in 1988, and my story is somewhat similar to Cindy's. He was responsible in the other part of his life, the one that probably many people here who knew him during his musical career don't remember, and maybe weren't a part of. But I think the important thing is that Mike had this power of bringing people together. And it was just as true in the first part of his life as it was during his musical life. It was just as true. He was already a musician, of course, but he didn't have a band or anything like that at the time. But he pulled together a whole group of people. And for me, like for Cindy, he totally changed my life by making a bet on me, by trusting, and getting me into a company, a tech company, it doesn't matter now, that actually moved me to Oregon and made the whole adult life that I've experienced here possible. And I can't even imagine what my life would have been if he hadn't made that bet. He was a bringer together of people all through his life. And that is an incredible and difficult to recognize skill. And I think everybody here has probably felt it a little bit. So thank you, Mike.
Amen to what he said. So I met Mike and Julie were the second and third musicians that I met here in Portland after I moved here. About 2 minutes after Dave Robeson turned around and said, "You need to meet those people, the woman in the purple hair." And they invited me to their Tigard session, which they were already hosting, and it was unlike any other session in that we came together to break bread, or French fries, really, and tacos, and but we were kind of a community. And so, how many of you have a musical relationship with Mike? Yeah, quite a few of you. So last time I saw Mike was at the inaugural session at Xfinity Golf, short-lived session, but he was there. He was in the back with the guitar and his accoutrement, and his kids were making sure that he was there and participating, and he played. He played his dreadnought. I was really kind of proud of him. And so afterwards I wrote him, I said, well, what did you think about that session? And he wrote this. This is on January 12th. Playing with the restart of the live session was important to me. Seeing those we've encouraged to join the Irish musical community does give me a warm space in my heart. There were times back at Tigerville Station when there was just Julie, me, and a couple of others, and I'd wonder if it was going to be a go or just sputtered out. I think by the time it left, there was like usually 15, 20 people there. So back then, there were mainly closed sessions in Portland, and we wanted to make a space for beginners, those that didn't want just reels and jigs, and for people to have a good time in a welcoming environment. And in fact, every time I showed up, and others, he would say, Karen! That I'd hear all the way back in the pool room, which is really nice. It's always great to be recognized. So we wanted people to have a good time in a welcoming environment, and I've been well satisfied with the results. Now I need to pass the torch along to Julie and all the good friends we've made over the years. So the torch is in our hands to make community, to welcome, to give chances, and to build our relationships that start with something that's bigger than us, the music, but runs through our hearts and unites our hearts. Good job, Mike.
Yeah, so I actually met Mike and Julie kind of twice. The first time I met these guys, Zeke and Will got married at an SCA event that happened to be on the same farm that I was keeping my horse. And I'd heard about this band, Rose and the Heather, from here and there, but I never actually got to hear them. And so, I kind of hung out in the back, and I think Marty said, come on, because he knew me from dancing, come listen. So I came and listened. I'm like, yeah, these are, this is a good band. I'd like to hear them some other time. And a little bit later, they were not playing that Kaylee, but I was at a Kaylee and I couldn't dance because I had injured myself. And Julie and I started talking about dogs. The next thing I know, Julie's inviting me over for dinner to talk about dogs some more. And the joke is that I followed them home from a Kaylee, they fed me, and then they could never get rid of me. But I've had some really great times hanging out with their family and getting to be at the backside, the backstage part of music, because I'm not a musician, I'm just audience, but I'm a very good audience. And the sessions, I don't think I ever would have found sessions without them. And Mike and Julie saw me through some really, really tough times. And, help came over and helped me with my house and things that I couldn't get done myself. And one of the biggest things they did for me is, it's the first time that I got to see up close and in real life the sort of relationship that's a healthy, functional relationship that I would like to someday emulate, or not. I mean, basically I'm holding out for that or not, but I'm not settling for anything less. And that's Mike and Julie. And I'm glad that we still have Julie, but like all of you, I'm going to miss Mike very, very much. And thank you for listening to me.
Hello, everyone. My name is Regina Sackrider, and I have known Julie for 56 years, which is how old I am. We've known each other forever. And I experienced Mike through Julie, and I experienced his love for her and her love for him, and the light that was so bright in her life and her eyes, and how he loved you and his children fiercely. And it was truly and is truly a gift, and has been a gift in my life. And I know that just seeing the happiness and the peace and the love of music, which has always been a thread through Julie's life, always. Just seeing her being able to share that with someone was absolutely a gift. So I'm sad, and I'm happy because of the joy that he brought you, and that the joy that he brought me through your relationship with him. So thank you.
Hi, my name's Alice. I've known Mike for 47 years. We work together in a couple of different places. I want to talk about some of the fun. Besides working together, Mike was very involved in a lot of the company activities and was instrumental in starting a group called Slow Spokes. It was a family bicycle group, and they called it Slow Spokes because there were some people who liked to race way out in front, but then they stop and wait, and everybody brought their kids. It was every skill level, and they had different themed monthly rides, and they had different themes for each one. There was a wine ride, which was one of Mike's favorites. There was a Halloween ride where they left the kids home, but the people who had strollers that went, the little carriers that went on the back of the bike, were the ones who were elected to pull the pumpkins. We had many camping trips together. Some of those were with Slow Spokes. Some of them were just us being friends, going camping. When we first met, there was a kind of an eclectic group that all were together. And I remember one time we were at Mike's house, and it was early on gaming kind of time, and there were a bunch of people playing games, and the rest of us went and sat underneath the dining room table, underneath the tablecloth, and had an under the table party. And under the table parties became a kind of a ritual with that group. I'll always have a fond memory of how that all got started, and there were probably 10 or 12 people crammed together underneath a dining room table. He was very special. He was really good about combining people who maybe wouldn't have been together otherwise, but really became good strong friends, and many of those friends we still have together today. And a lot of that was attributed to Mike. I remember one time on the wine ride, Cindy is very tall, so it was a camp out one, and we got a really large tent. Everybody gave Cindy a bad time because we had such this huge tent, but it was so that she could actually stand up in it. A storm came in that night and flooded the entire campsite, except for we were dry. But the people in the little pup tents were soaked out. So all of a sudden, we had an under the table party in our tent. Everybody moved into our tent. And Mike was a huge part of that and putting all of that together, and reminded us of that many times. In fact, some people tried to bring their bikes into our tent. We're going, no, no, no. No. Mike was such a dear person and really is instrumental in how we were able to move to our beloved Oregon. We thought we wouldn't be able to move here until we retired, but things worked out, and Cindy was able to come up and work with Mike again and made this our home and made sure that we were welcomed and we had new friends. He was instrumental in introducing us to other people so that we had family here as well, because it was pretty scary for us. Neither one moved. Cindy still lived in the same town that she grew up in, she was born in, so it was kind of a scary move to do that. And Mike made that totally possible and totally welcoming. I treasure our last camping trip that we had out at the coast with Mike and Julie. And we had another one some years back where another couple that worked with us, we were out at the coast, and Mike and Julie and our other friend all played instruments, and they stood around the campfire and set up, and they started playing, and pretty soon nobody really intruded in our campsite, but our campsite was completely surrounded by people listening to them. It started getting late, and it was almost 10 o'clock, and Mike said, oh, we'll play one more, and we should be able to get it in that time. And up comes the camp host, and in his little uniform, and we thought, uh-oh, we're in trouble. And Mike said, oh, we're about to stop. And he goes, no, I came over so that I could listen. So they were able to play a couple more songs, and nobody was complaining at all about the time and how late it was. And I'm really grateful for the life and light that I was able to see in Mike up here. When he met Julie and grew this family, it was so precious to him. And they are the absolute best thing that has ever happened to Mike. Totally the best thing. Having known him from the past and watched him throughout, he watched us grow and helped us grow, but we got to watch him grow as well. And I'm so grateful for all of that and for them allowing us to be a part of their family as well. I hope that they will still keep us as part of that relationship. And my last gratitude is Cindy got to pick up Mike actually from OHSU the week that he passed, a day or two before. And I was able to go. I hadn't gone for a few of the trips, and I was able to go. And so that night when we got back at the house, I was able to give him a kiss on the top of his head and tell him thank you for all of the years of such wonderful kindness and friendship. Thank you.
It's a tough act to follow. The first time I got to talk to Mike, kind of scared the shit out of me. Me and Zeke were hard Scrabble rapscallions, teenagers, and Zeke was planning on taking a visit down to meet me in Bakersfield, California, which anybody knows Bakersfield, California, and I'm sorry. And, you know, it's not the kind of place that a freshly adopted teenager should be meeting any stranger they met on the internet. And I talked to him on the phone shortly before Zeke came down, and he said in that way that Mike does, he says, I don't really think that's a good idea. I don't really like it. And I'm trying to think of words to convince this guy that I'm not a weirdo. Well, okay, but I'm not a serial killer. This is a good idea, I promise. And I'm literally saying exactly those words, like, look, I know how this sounds, but you got to believe me, I'm not a serial killer. And I know how that sounds, but I swear to God, like, you know. And he said, oh, in that way that Mike did. Well, all right. And that was that. And Zeke came down, and it's, you know, that was 21 years ago. And got the opportunity, much like other people I'm learning, to come up to Oregon. And they just, Mike and Julie took us in and fed me, and I never went home, and you know, as is the common theme. But he opened his door without hesitation. I was just this young punk rocker from California, and he let me into his home and be role models to these two kids, these two little goofballs, man. And it was the first time where I wasn't just like the big kid at the big kids table, but I had kids looking up to me and wanting to emulate me and striving to be worth being looked up to. And, you know, that was the great thing about Mike, is that he was so open-minded, but man, he was never afraid to tell you if something wasn't, if he didn't like it. The first time I showed him the band Flogging Molly, and I thought, you know, that was the way we could connect. I'm like old school California punk. He's, you know, a folk musician and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is two great tastes that taste great together. Check this out. This is Flogging Molly, and I play a song for it, and he sits there and he listens to it the whole time. And he says, boy, I didn't like that at all. He says, that might have been the worst song I've ever heard. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, I tried. And, you know, that was classic Mike, man. If the drinks weren't good enough, he said it. If the food wasn't good enough, he made it himself. You know, if something wasn't good enough, he made it better. And he loved large, and he partied hard, and he didn't take any moment for granted. He didn't settle for any less. And if anything, it's been a huge inspiration to me and anybody that knows him, that, you know, if you don't like it, just fucking say something, because, you know, life's too short. And he had the best right up until the end, and fucking he deserved it, man. And he deserved all of you. And we just got to keep working to make sure that we deserved him.
Hi, my name's Steve Arnold. I know a number of people here already know me. I want to point out that Mike kept taking in more strays, myself included. I was a struggling musician who was dealing with his hands falling apart while I started playing music at the Tigard Session, and was incredibly welcomed in. And as I got to know Mike and Julie, they got to know that I also am someone whose first family didn't show up in the best of ways. So I mentioned things like I didn't have plans for Thanksgiving, at which I was invited instantly to their house. And that kind of openness and caring, and making sure not just that he does that his family understands to do that, was incredible to watch. And I am very grateful that I've been included through Mike and his music and his family in this wonderful community. Thank you very much.
All right, who's next? Yeah, I know I do. Hey, let me reach into my sporran. I think the roof would cave in, right? We have one more. All right, come on. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Having a little cruise.
This may not work out, but I'm gonna take a shot at it because I love Mike. I guess I'm gonna talk about something a little different, and I'll try and be brief because it'll be better for all of us. We got there the night he passed, and it was pretty late in the day. And my wife, her grandfather was Mike's father, and he spent a lot of the later part of his life trying to find out who that was and where that family was and trying to get to know him. And it turned out really well. There was pictures of all of them. We just went through. I could barely keep from crying looking at him. Her mom and her grandfather with him, and it's really something. But anyway, we got there a little later in the evening, and I don't know if you've ever been around somebody that's on their way out before, but sometimes it can be a little difficult. He was having trouble settling. It was kind of a little restless. And she walked right in and took his hand, sat down next to him, and whispered in his ear for maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and he settled right down. I mean, all of us that were there that saw it was amazing. And later on, she told me that she told him that he was going to get to go now and meet his father that he never met, play with his brothers that he never got to play with, and it was going to be okay. And that's all it took. And he just went to sleep, and Julie cuddled up next to him, and then 10 or 15 minutes later, he was gone. But that's the way I remembered it, and it was just a gift to watch. And I think it helped with everybody, but it seemed to work for him. And it wasn't, there was so much in his life that was so good that he did for somebody else. It was just a joy to see somebody be able to help him on the way out. And he went out easy, and he really did. He knew he was loved, and there was no question about that.
Anybody else? Hi, Kurt. I was wondering if you were going to get up here.
I knew Mike for about 30 years. My name's Kurt. The thing about him was he had a drive, and he was good at things. He was just one of these people that's good at stuff, right? I want to build a greenhouse out of PVC. And I built stuff out of PVC, right? It's always garbage. But his stuff was good. And he put a band together, right? I didn't know how to do that. I've been a musician. I've been in bands. But he put one together that was big. I mean, it was big. The first place we played at Tumbleweed, right? And the stage things open, the curtains. And there's like, I don't know, 10,000 people out there or something. Yeah. I never could have put that together, but Mike did. He just knew how to do stuff like that. And he was always an impressive guy. He built a family, and like was said, he gathered people together from all over the place. He loved everybody. He was good at loving people. He was good at stuff. And I'll always be impressed with him. So, well done. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm probably gonna have a hard time with this, so bear with me. I can do that. Oh boy, very snotty. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh god, I'm gonna need this. Okay. So throughout my life, Dad always believed in me. When I was going through and gonna try and make it work with theater, where that's what I wanted to do, he was right there with me, and he believed with his whole heart that I could do anything that I put my mind to. And when it came time to me to swap to something else, because theater didn't work out, as it tends not to, he still believed in me. And throughout my entire life, I think one thing I always struggled with is just general insecurity. And as I've gotten older, I've been able to spot all these points where he showed me that he loved me. It was the times where he drove me back from online school, the time he drove me to therapy, the time we went to get medication. All of these small acts of love they mean the world to me.
You meant the world to him.
And yeah. And it hurts that I'm not going to be able to know him as an adult. That right as I'm right as I'm becoming right as I'm really appreciating everything he's done for me, that's right when I have to say goodbye. And I'm so thankful for the time that I have been able to share with him. And I'm thankful that everyone's here today to show your love for him. So, thank you.
You know, what I had to say tonight was just, bits and pieces, and I'm so glad that so much of my kind of outline about who Mike was got filled in. So now I'm going to fill it in a little bit. I got to tell you, when I met Mike and Julie, it was, they were playing a gig at Rock Creek Tavern. Just, woohoo! I had just been introduced really to Irish music at a St. Patrick's Day gig at Biddy McGraw's, and an incredible friend, wonderful person, let me play her bowran. There was, my wife Ann and I would go to Biddy McGraw's, which was like the Irish pub on Hawthorne Boulevard to go to. There was a parade in the street and the whole 10 yards, but if you were going to get a table, you had to get there and bogart a table. So we had one particular table. It was a six-seater, six-top, if you've been in the restaurant business. And there, behind it was an area for throwing darts, right? And then the glass and the sidewalk and the street. And so we were sitting at this table, watching the parade go by, and there was this beautiful lady standing there playing her bowran, right? And I had never even seen one before. And so, it was like, what is that? And she explained it to me, and I said, do you want to come sit with us? And so Lisa Colgrove, who later became a band member in Rose and the Heather, came and sat at our table. And so that's how I was introduced to playing the bowran, okay? So later on, my wife and I go to Rock Creek Tavern, and so here I am, this enthusiastic, I took Irish bowran player, right? And I went to every place with my bowran in the car, and if I had the opportunity, I would go up to the band and say, do you mind if I sit in the audience and play my bowran? And normally they always said, yeah, sure. Well, I went to Rock Creek Tavern with my wife for dinner. Mike and Julie were playing a gig there, and at their break, I walked up to them and I went, hi, my name's John, I play the bowran, do you mind if I sit in with you? And Mike just looked at me and went, maybe someday. So, to make a really long story short, through a simple twist of fate, months later, maybe years, a year or two went by, and we met at, I think I'll just call it a session in a basement at a mutual friend's house. So I'm sitting in the basement playing my Bowron, and down the stairs walked Mike and Julie. And Mike walked up to me and went, oh, so you can play the Bowron. And I think we kind of took it from there. As things went along, they needed a Bowron player, and I got to set in and eventually became their percussionist. And one day setting up, I was singing, and they turned around and said, oh, you can sing. And later on, because of other shows that I was doing, I had met Lisa, and Lisa started filling in when I wasn't there, and later on became a member of the band, which is really a blessing. And on and on and on. So, you know, I had the privilege of holding these two monkeys in my arms when they were like this big, and I've known them all my life. Like I said earlier, they're my family. You know, I'm Uncle John. So just like Kurt's Uncle Kurt, right? Hey. So anyway, does anybody else have anything they would like to say? Dun, dun. Let's drink. Okay, enough talk. Now it's time to go downstairs and continue the Fiesta Zamudio tradition of good food, beverage, and lots of music. Woo! All right, thank you, everybody.
Of course, real quick. Everybody? Okay. Well, just real quick, we're going to head on down. If anybody wants a minute with Dad, he'll be here.